Hollywood's terrible decisions have finally caught up with them in the past couple of years. There was a way that they could go ahead and float some of the lingering success of 2019 over the time when everything was shut down. Well, the general public was shut down. Hollywood could still work. Thanks, California. Great policies that you have there. But in 2023, the first shoe fell, and this year, definitely the second, okay? In regards to Disney, right? Like, they had a catastrophic, flopbuster-filled year, and of course, to compare and contrast that, they have Deadpool and Wolverine and Inside Out 2 to go ahead and combat that. Still doesn't end up cleaning the mess that they made last year, but it makes them look good heading into the future. As for the rest of the studios, a mixed bag would be the best way to possibly characterize their big screen output. For every Barbie, Warner Brothers has DC's output. Tom Cruise will have Top Gun Maverick, and then follow that up with Mission Impossible 7 Dead Reckoning Part 1. Great title there, Tom. So good you had to change it and completely scrap the plans for Part 2 for the 8th and final Mission Impossible. That's supposed to come out next year. How well is that going to do? I don't know. But instead of taking a step back and looking at the disaster that these past couple of years generally are, because, yeah, it's just looking at Hollywood, but on the smaller screen, like, you take a look at this cross-section of pictures that are there. And, well, I like one of those shows quite a bit, House of the Dragon. That picture that they chose right there, now, it got quite a bit of stick, mostly because there's not a lot of stick involved in that picture, but for the reason that the way that the journalists, okay, they would like for you to think that people were outraged. It's mostly because Maseri is a terrible character, and Rhaenyra was lobotomized in season 2 and made a terrible decision after terrible decision. But overall, the general quality of that show was very high, and they were rewarded with exceptional ratings that continue to grow throughout the season. Very strange that you'd put that in there, but yeah, The Marvels, a disaster. Boys, season 4, I mean, come on. The Acolyte, Rings of Power, and Look Who's Coming to Dinner. I don't know what the other one is there. But all of that stuff, you know, sans the one that I have no idea, they're just bad. Like the Acolyte, oh my lord. It's a nonsensical, poorly acted, over-budget, underproducing show. Rings of Power, it's 2 seasons. Brother, how much time do you got? The Boys, all I've seen is controversy after controversy because we got to own the chuds. And The Marvels, $206 million at the box office. There you go on that one. But instead of reflecting on their own failings, no, it's not our problem. It's everybody else, because as Variety puts it, toxic fandom, how Hollywood is battling fans who are just out for blood. No, they're out for a good show. They're provided the tripe that we've been experiencing for a very long time. You are finally starting to get just a fraction of the consequences of your long-term choices, a fraction of the pain that the actual fans of these franchises have been feeling for a very long time, and you don't like it. Mostly because, well, and this coming from a trade rag, you guys don't have the biggest megaphone anymore. Us toxic fans that talk about this stuff, you think that we have a disproportionate amount of influence that's out there. But here's the thing. For as much as the people who have been talking and tracking this stuff have been against it for a while and have been voicing their displeasure, the normies have finally caught up. They caught up last year, and they're making their voices heard this year. They're tired of your crap. So you can go ahead and blame the fans. You can go ahead and blame the commentariats. But if you're going to fix anything, you have to take this little thing that I know Hollywood is very much against. You got to take this personal responsibility and do a little house cleaning before things are going to get better. But no, just blame everybody else, right? On August 28th, Amandla Stenberg, yo man, Hollywood and the talking heads, they're never going to get over the Acolyte. Right? Like we just talked about not that long ago, you know, Jodie Turner-Smith saying, everybody's racist for not liking our bad TV show. Cool, bro. Thanks. The lead of Star Wars Theories, The Acolyte, posted an 8.5-minute maudlin mess of a video where she just plays with her hair and goes, the orange man supporter's bad. Thanks, Amandla. That's some of the best acting that we've seen from you this year. But yes, it's not a huge shock for me that they canceled the show a week after the series one. Well, the series finale, rather, not just season 1. Since the series was announced in 2020, we started experiencing a rampage of, I would say, hyper-conservative bigotry and vitriol, prejudice, hatred, what else? Hatred, and hateful language towards us. Stenberg was unavailable for comment for this story. Yeah, because she can't substantiate any of this. Just like Jodie Turner-Smith couldn't. We've got such a racist backlash. Just one comment. Please provide anything that could substantiate your claims. You can't. Oh, but you can Just yell at the people who didn't watch your show, who wouldn't be able to pick you out of a police lineup, and you're going to say that they're racist because they didn't watch your show? Because they didn't care about that crap? Interesting tact. In other words, the Acolyte was the latest high-profile target of toxic fandom. How do you even know that? It's some airhead in a multi-million-dollar home saying, everybody's mean to me because I'm half black. No, you're bad at your job. And you were the first one to attack fans, like before your 8.5-minute Instagram story where I play with my hair before I go out to a very expensive party. You posted a diss track, shitting on people for being white. Like, what are we doing here, stupid? But yes, but toxic fandom, a catch-all term created by the excess media for when fan criticism curdles from good faith dissatisfaction. Yeah, you should be happy that we're at least pissing on your head in this desert, in this content desert, okay? At least you're getting some type of hydration. You're supposed to go from that to being relentlessly negative, often bigoted online campaign against either the project or the stars or creative leaders. Seriously, just point to anything that would actually fit that description, because in regards to the Acolyte, yeah, people were pointing out how poorly directed, edited, shot, scripted, and acted it was. What does that have to do with anybody's immutable characteristics outside of you having an axe wound between your legs? Is anybody really saying your show's bad because it's women? Nah, man. As much as those airheads think that it's finally time for a woman to take control of Star Wars, there have been very powerful women, very competent women. I understand why you don't want to include them in your screed that have been a part of the franchise for a very, very long time. Well, yeah, the tide is finally turning and we're starting to see a course correction. In the words of the media, it's only getting worse. In terms of the territory, it's gotten incredibly loud in the last couple of years as a veteran marketing executive at a major studio. People are just out for blood regardless, so they think the purity of the first version will never be replaced, or you've done something to upset the canon of a beloved franchise, and they're going to take you down for doing so. Yeah, imagine that. If you're making a sequel and then you're shitting on the original, people are going to be upset at that. If you do a bad job with adaptation, people are going to be upset about that. Hell, if you just make a bad movie, people are going to be upset at you wasting their time. There's this entitlement culture that is really starting to come to the forefront from these studios where they think, hey, we worked really hard on this. Where's the money? Okay, we grew up with participation trophies. We grew up being told that we're special, unique, and everything that we do, we're going to succeed at as long as we work hard at it. But one of my favorite quotes from one of my favorite Christmas movies is from National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, and it's the ornery old father-in-law. When Chevy Chase's daughter says, shouldn't be so hard on Dad, he worked really hard on this, and then he turns around and goes, he had dishwashers work hard too. That has always stuck with me. Just because you work hard on something, which I don't even think too many people in Hollywood are working all that hard on anything, doesn't mean that you're entitled to results. You have to be good and competent at your work in order for anybody to take notice of it, and competence creates confidence, which creates results. A lot of these entitled hacks in Hollywood are skipping out on those primary ingredients. You look at the resumes of the people that are getting put in charge of big budget films from Marvel, from Star Wars, specifically keeping it within the canon of Disney. They have 1 or 2 writing credits, and then they get Ant-Man and the Wasp. Like, they've never written a screen. That Jeff Loveness idiot who wrote Quantumania never wrote a screenplay in his life prior to that. And that was an over $200 million film that lost a considerable amount of money. And then you had Nia DaCosta, the director for the Marvels, known for a few documentaries, never doing anything on that scale within the studio system. What did you think was going to happen? Do you just think that every time you pluck one of these Rick and Morty, Breaking Bad writers out of the wild, you just think that because they thrived under the leadership of such greater show-running minds, that they'd be able to take all of that success, learn from Vince Gilligan, Dan Harmon, and they'd be able to make it work over at Disney? Yeah, that ain't happening, man. You learned that lesson with Ryan Johnson back in 2017, but no. It's everybody else to blame for somebody who specifically went out to try to make a film that was as divisive as possible. He wanted to upset. He purposefully aimed to upset half of the audience, but toxic fans are to blame. Sometimes toxic fandoms behave reactively. House of the Dragon episode featuring 2 female characters kissing at the episode of The Last of Us focusing on a gay couple were both review bombed. Yeah, because that was a bottle episode in a limited release series, and the House of the Dragon featuring 2 females kissing. Yeah, it's who was kissing, when they were kissing, why they were kissing. That was a big problem. There's gay characters in A Song in Ice and Fire. There were gay characters several gay characters in Game of Thrones. There are gay characters in House of the Dragon. Hell, Rhaenyra was married to one of them. You know why people were upset? Because it didn't make sense. But yeah, the practice of mobbing sites like Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb with negative user reviews, which you can't point to any of these talking heads that are out there, and you can't point to a specific example of anybody going, yeah, you should go review bomb that on chosen site. It doesn't happen. They're just saying, yo, that was like really stupid and I wouldn't recommend it. That'd be about as harsh as the criticism is, but you take that as a cinematic jihad. What is wrong with you people? What do you mean you people? You know what? Anyways, but yeah, this all started, yes, in the year of our Lord 2017 with Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi, and an entire YouTube ecosystem devoted to declaring projects like The Marvels and The Boys woke garbage. Well, The Marvels was just bad, and The Boys could potentially be woke. I know I've seen a couple of storylines, and it's like, well, it's really kind of pathetic. Oh, and then they talk about Bridgerton, which I don't know a damn thing about, but it's wildly popular. So where's the influence of all of these toxic fans? Because when we were doing a rundown of the ratings for the Acolyte, what was right at the top of every single list? Oh yeah, Bridgerton. But oh no, they face a ridiculous amount of backlash on Reddit. It's like, those are your people, bro. Anyways, but yeah, social media epithets directed at actors of cooler cast as elves and dwarves in Rings of Power. Death threats aimed at Leslie Jones in a press tour for 2016's Ghostbusters, huh? And by the way, why are you dead naming Ghostbusters 2016? It's Ghostbusters Answer the Call. Hello. This is 2024. We don't dead name around here, you bigot. But I don't even know necessarily if that was the case, because I remember the Twitter spat that I'm sure every journalist has laid out above their bed so they can look at it at night to keep all the boogeymen away. I don't remember any death threats in so much as, a back and forth meme war with Milo, who they constantly and have been more repeatedly bringing up recently in their critiques. I don't remember any, threats against Leslie Jones like that. And to be fair, the only death threat was sitting all the way through, forcing somebody to sit all the way through Ghostbusters 2016. But perhaps the greatest irony is the phenomenon, the disproportionate impact these toxic fandoms have relative to their actual number. So this is another one of these mischaracterizations where, these toxic fandoms simultaneously have the power to cancel a show, but then if it's successful and they can't quite explain why it is successful, but people are still mad at it, it's because they don't have the numbers, or because they sold out their own reputations in order to go with the way that they think that their fans can. Like, the mental gymnastics on display are just ridiculous. The vast majority of any fandom are casual fans. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it says John Van Sitters, VP, probably misspoke and, referenced some of his favorite entertainment, but Star Trek brand development. Yeah, speaking of a brand that is dead in the water, that has driven off its casual fans in droves since, 2009 with JJ Trek? But yeah, okay. But yeah, skipping ahead a little bit, because this is a long boy. There's a long boy article of just basically saying, no, we haven't done anything wrong. It's all of you mean folks that are out there. Everything is still as good, if not better than before, because we throw a lot of money in it. And if you don't buy it, then you can't get any more slop. And everybody's just going, yeah, okay, that's fine, because at this point in time, you're basically competing against yourself, because there's a lot of older, mind-broken Hollywood content that we can go and enjoy. We don't need your new slop. That's fine. And there's a burgeoning indie scene in gaming and also in cinematic entertainment that, it's fine. And also, all of those YouTubers, those nasty, evil YouTubers that are out there, they're more entertaining than anything that you guys are putting out. So that's why they're big butthurt on this. So what is their solution to this stuff? Well, there's a little moment of clarity here. Those who did talk with Variety all agreed that the best defense is to avoid provoking fandoms from the first place. Yeah, not leading off your obviously terrible show, looking at you once again, Acolyte, and then just saying, all the fans that hate it preemptively, you're all just racist. It couldn't be that the show looks terrible from our promotional material. No, you're just all bigots that are out there. And in addition to standard focus group testing, studios will assemble a specialized cluster of superfans. Oh, great. Are they all going to get to wear capes to assess possible marketing materials for a major franchise project? Well, that's interesting, right? And you would think, superfans of IPs coming in and consult, or at least hear out the ideas before they get put to film and cost these studios hundreds of millions of dollars. Sounds like a great idea. But then you've also got to cast your mind in the confines of modern day Hollywood, and what exactly do they think a super fan is? The last time we've seen a super fan group assembled, well, we can't actually watch that anymore because that video ended up getting scrubbed from the internet. But yeah, Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power decided to assemble a super fan group who, after the show released, none of them watched it or followed up and did any content of it, but they really loved my girl Galadriel. Oh my god, it's gonna be so great. We got the rings and the Harfoots. Yeah, the Harfoots, because we can't call them hobbits, but the Harfoots, they're so cool. But I'm like a big super fan of that Tolkienian guy. He great. He write the long books. That's who Hollywood thinks are super fans. Not you and me. Like, I was to be consulted on a series that I would be a super fan of. Like, okay, I know a lot about Final Fantasy. Okay, that's probably the franchise I know the most about, but I have huge gaps in my knowledge. And if I was asked to consult or, be plucked of my knowledge, I would be brushing up on everything. Every mainline iteration, every spin-off that I could think of. I would dive headfirst into all of that stuff because I would take that seriously. But that's not what Hollywood's looking for. They're also looking for the same people that have created this soft as icing ecosystem for themselves. They're looking for yes men to simply go, oh yeah, that sounds great, to easily cash a check, them to just buy off opinions because they're so used to it. All of these trade rags used to have the biggest megaphones, and a studio could place a phone call, get a puff piece written, and away we go. But now, thanks to Twitter, especially thanks to Elon buying it up and making it less of an echo chamber, there's an ability for people to push back. For as atrocious as Google is, YouTube lends a voice to people with dissenting opinions. I appreciate both of those platforms for what they provide because, yeah, dissenting opinions are important. And the franchises that are under attack, yeah, they're actually appreciated by a lot of people that are out there, okay? This isn't just a one-way street. Not everybody is out for blood. Oh, they don't like House of the Dragon because it's woke. No, it's far more nuanced than that. There are people that did like The Last of Us that you would consider to be in that toxic space. You guys know, and I make mention of them on, a fairly consistent basis. I'm a big fan of EFAP. They did a whole breakdown of every episode. They did a watch-along for every episode of The Last of Us in their EFAP TV format. I've yet to watch any of that. I don't really have any intention of watching it because I don't know, man. I like the game when it first came out. But outside of that, like, I haven't returned to it. I haven't played it again. I played it once. I've seen everything that was coming out for part 2, and then I've also seen what has happened with Naughty Dog, and it's like, no, I'm good, man. I'm real good. But they enjoyed it for the TV show that it is, and that's why I appreciate their commentary. Because if it's a good show, regardless of my politics, my culture war over the top, you can say that it's a good show. You might not like it because you think it's a bad adaptation, because it isn't what you think it should be, but if it is good, they will give it praise. And that's the way that I like to approach things as well. That saying, still not going to watch The Last of Us because it doesn't appeal to me. Same thing with a lot of other popular TV shows that are out there. Not really one to sit down and engage in any media. Hell, even when it comes to social media, for as much praise as I have for it, I'm not even all that engaged with it. I think on Twitter, I probably post twice a week, maybe. I basically just use it for research. That's all. I actually take the Elizabeth Olsen strategy to, yeah, there's one way to handle toxic fans, or to just handle toxic discourse, because that's all these trade rags basically deal in today's day and age, when they're not writing puff pieces for the industry going and blaming everybody else for their failures. I'm not online. I'm so protected. Generally, it's a lot of positive experiences of making kids happy. I ignore the other stuff. And yeah, that's what I do, man. Talk about stuff that I'm interested in, using the skills that I have accrued over 34 years of life to disseminate the information as truthfully and honestly as I can perceive it to anybody who's willing to listen. And for that, I'm incredibly thankful that over 7,700 people on YouTube have decided to sign up. That's wild to think about, and over 1,500 on Rumble. Like, it's crazy to think that I've just about got 10,000 followers across a couple of platforms, and I'm incredibly thankful about each and every one of you taking a chance and affording me just a little piece of your day. I really do appreciate that, and I'm never going to take that for granted. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.